Eclectic Arts Media.
And that's really exciting as well because, it feels a little bit more like home when you're on tour.
I make jokes about how I have to watch it because I sound like a cult recruiter if I'm talking about the ranch.
Ciao, sono Ginger Costa Jackson e io sono qui con Eclectic Arts Media.
Hi, friends.
Hi,
Josh.
Hello, everyone. We are there.
I'm a one-man band right now, so it's like I see everything that needs to be done, and I'm like, oh, I've got to go in and do all of that too, you know?
안녕하세요, 로리코스입니다.
And I was like, why am I asking myself that? I like it. So what the hell?
Hey everyone, this is Todd Latourie from Queensryche, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday, the 6th of February, 2024. And before we get started, I'd like to thank my last guest, which was Cassidy Paris and Tom, joined me from Australia just a little over a week ago. So it was great getting a chance to talk with her and seeing what she's up to. She's got a whole lot of talent in her songwriting and her guitar playing and her vocals as well. And Tom has now joined her, and his brother, Alex, is also a part of the band. So that was great fun talking with them. And coming up, my next scheduled live stream is actually mañana, tomorrow. So Wednesday, the 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific here in the US. I am scheduled to talk with Dennis Stratton. Dennis is promoting his new album from Lionheart, which has been around since the 80s. And most notably, which he's very proud of, which he should be. Dennis is also one of the guitar players for Iron Maiden. He played on their self-titled debut, the legendary debut. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about Lionheart and Praying Mantis he was a part of for many years, and of course his Iron Maiden days. So that is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you'd like to know more of what I have coming up, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. I took a break for a while, so now the algorithm's kind of all out of whack. So any kind of interaction, if you like this video right now, if you put a comment down, that also helps as well. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me there, that would be great. If this is your first time joining me and you'd like to ask my guests or any guests that I have in the future a question, you can always join in on the chat, which is, again, through the YouTube channel or through Twitch. You pretty much will have instant access. I see someone saying hello already. And so I will pepper in those questions as they come in. So feel free to ask away, and just know that if we're in the middle of a conversation, obviously I'm going to wait till there's a good time to actually ask your question. So be aware, I will get to it. Just give me some time. All right, so let's get to things. This is going to be fun because this is going to be the first. I actually thought about this morning. This is the first one-on-one interview I've done with this guest. She's been on before, but never one-on-one. So this is going to be fun for me. My guest today is a returning artist, as I just mentioned. She is a powerhouse metal vocalist that first joined me back in 2021, which is kind of crazy to think about. Her band Hiraes released their second album, Dormant, which looks like this, the CD version at least, on January 26th on Napalm Records. Please welcome back to the Eclectic Arts Media Virtual Studio, Britta Gortz.
Hello, Mark. I'm back. Hi.
Hi, Britta. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for coming back and for joining me. And this is going to be fun.
Sure, it's a pleasure always.
Yeah, when I was looking through the dates of our past live streams that we've done, I'm like, was that really back in May of 2021? And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, time flies. Like it feels like a couple of years have been like squeezed into one.
It does, and I know it's the same for everybody out there. Just like some things seem like they just happened yesterday. Some things like, no, it was a little while ago. But when I do these virtual interviews, I'm kind of like, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, even though I just saw you in October. But still, it's like 3 years ago.
Yeah, really.
That's nuts. And I want to say hi to Carlos and the Frozen 666. Oh, you just joined me on Twitch, I saw recently. So thanks for following me on Twitch. So again, if anyone out there has questions for Britta as we're talking, just put it into the chat and I'll incorporate that into the conversation.
Hit me up.
Yeah, it's always great when viewers ask questions. So a lot of times they have things that I don't even think about. So that's just adds to the conversation. But let's kind of first and foremost, you just got off tour. You just played some shows promoting the new album, Dormant. And I've got one question I want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you in general first. So how did those shows go? How was it playing the new material?
It feels great to play the new material. I mean, of course, it's always like you practice the songs and then you kind of have to, you know, build them into your live show and everything. So it kind of feels new and fresh and exciting, but also you have, and we're working on stage with a lot more concentration the first couple shows, of course, until everything feels natural. We switched around the set list a couple times during our short tour, but yeah, it feels great. The response is great, and you could really see that from we played the first show after one day after the record was released, so and not many people knew all the lyrics, and then from day to day that we progressed during the tour, you could see more and more lip syncings in the audience. So it gives us a feeling that the record is like really well perceived, and people like it. We get so much nice feedback, and yeah, it feels just great to have more songs to play and play longer sets.
Yeah, everything that you said makes sense to me, and it's got to be fun as you just put your album out into the wild, and as you're doing shows, then more and more people are getting familiar with the songs and kind of knowing like when these breaks are coming and what the lyrics are, and yeah, as a band that you've got 2 studio albums worth of material to pull from for your live sets. I was going to mention that I saw a clip of you where you're literally on the bar singing.
Yes.
Is that something new, or were you always doing that in your shows?
I to be honest, I never did that before. It is a club in my hometown, Hanover, in Germany, where I live, and yeah, I took a stroll into the audience, and like there was, I had this moment where like everything turns into slow motion, and there was this bar stool there and no one was sitting on it. Someone was just leaving the bar with a beer, and then there was this opening, and I just found myself climbing onto the bar. And yeah, that was fun, and I felt bad for a second because of course everyone like turned around with their cameras and the focus was all on me on the bar. So if this is the stage towards this direction, everyone was just like that. So yeah, but it was fun, and I remember, I think it was Audi, our guitarist, asked me later, like, yeah, I was like wondering what is everyone looking at? And then he looked over and said, oh, it's Britta on the bar. Come down here. Yeah, it was the heat of the moment. What can I say?
Well, I thought it was awesome, singing up there, and I know fans love it when the band members get into the crowd and do their thing, whatever that looks like, because then it feels like you're part of the band basically at that point as a fan.
Oh, which is the best thing. I mean, like if you kind of yeah, try to erase the imaginative barrier between the audience and what's going on stage, and everything becomes one. That's I think, like from my perspective, being on stage and off stage are the best shows.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I see the Frozen 666 is saying I recorded that clip. So maybe the clip that I saw is of you on the bar came from.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. I think if Frozen 666 is also the Instagram name, I think I even got this person to send me the original file. I'm putting together a little recap, but I have so much material, like I don't know really where to start.
Yeah, no, that's awesome for that type of thing. And I know one thing too with it's got to be as I've been listening to the new album. It's got to be really interesting for you guys as a band to me, there's so much variance on Dormant, musically and vocally of what you're doing, and it's got a real majestic quality, like the whole album, not just one particular song. And I'm wondering, did it come across just much more aggressive as a melodic death metal band live, or does it still have that kind of majestic kind of tone to the new material at least?
I think both. I think I don't want to describe it as like really again in brutality, but I think it's denser in a sense. It's denser and it's more compact and it's more direct. So maybe that's what I would describe like the new material. It's a little bit more, I don't want to use the word tailored because that sounds like, a master plan, because we didn't have a master plan when we wrote the album. It was the opposite of that. We just let it flow. But I think coming into the writing process of Dormant with the experience for us as a band to have played live shows, many live shows, and we tried to to grab and bag some of that live energy that we shared with our fans and try to compress it into songs, and so I think the album is in a way more direct and accessible, but at the same time it has all these little details which might make it a little bit majestic. Maybe that's what you describe as majestic. I don't know, does that make sense?
It does, because because I have both albums, and when I listen to the new one, it sounds like the band for sure, but then it's just been expanded, and part of that, like you're saying, is because you've been playing a lot of live shows, so you can't help but get tighter as a group, as a musician. So when you're talking about it's more direct, that comes across too, that it's more, I don't want to say focused, but it just kind of, as a band, it just seems like it's kind of like a fist. But it's got these other layers to it, which I really, really like. And again, even like with the title track of Dormant, with the music video clip that we showed, it's got this, with the piano piece, and it goes into the brutality piece. But then even when you get to the chorus, there's such a beautiful melody of that chorus going on. And it's just, for me, again, maybe other people think differently, I just have this kind of like this bigger, I just keep saying majestic kind of feel to it, because that's what it sounds like to me. And so I love it when there's all these different kind of variables and influences in a band's songs.
I think like this kind of like anthemic melodic thingy is the essence of Luca's guitar playing, and he's our main songwriter. Like he comes up with all the riffs and all the guitar stuff. I don't know where he kind of pulls it from. That's probably the magic of being creative. He just grabs the guitar, and then this is what is coming up. But especially Dormant, I remember listening to the demo track for the first time, and it had a different feel to it, a different kind of melancholic undertone compared to our other melancholic songs. It kind of felt like so at peace, and at the same time so alive. So I tried to bring these counterparts together, so like that you're kind of like calm on the outside, but inside you're just like alive. You can feel your strength. So like someone who might look on the outside as a very calm person, a very unfazed personality, might have like a whole landscape of wild oceans going inside. Like, I'm speaking pretty in pretty pictures, but I probably know, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like it's it has this kind of really alive, glowing piece of emotion in it.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think for me, that's why if I listen to it time and time again, I get more and more out of it, which is the best kind of music to me, when it's like it's not one and done. Like, oh yeah, I know what that album's about. It's like, no, you can keep going and going and going with it. And so it's going to have long legs, as they say in the TV and movie industry, that it'll just sit there and play for a long period of time. And so that's really a testament to you guys in the band for creating something like this.
Oh yeah, thank you. I mean, that's makes us happy to hear. It's something that it's easy to lose track of that when you write it, because you're so close to your own material that all of a sudden you don't know, is it too obvious? Is it too hidden? Is it too subtle? Is it too direct? Sometimes that's what I admire probably about artists who where there's one person writing the music and doing everything, like solo artists style people. They come up with everything themselves, and they kind of like keep the overview over everything. Wow, I mean, I'm really, really happy that I'm with my musical family of Hiraes, and so that I can, when I'm having trouble making a decision, there are 4 other people to ask what they think.
Yeah, well, that's definitely one of the pluses of being a member of a band, where you can have other artists to bounce things off, or especially if you're kind of getting stuck with something, like I don't know which way to go with this, and then what do you think? And they can kind of give you some ideas, and vice versa too, because you might be hearing something like that riff you just did. Can you play that again, or maybe do it 3 times instead of 2 times, or that there's something there. And I remember a long time ago when I was teaching one of my guitar students. And I was just noodling around warming up, and he's like, "What did you just play?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I wasn't thinking.
I don't know.
What did I just do?" So that was really, really cool. And I'm like, "Well, shit, I don't know what I just played." And he said it was kind of like this. He was trying to mimic what it was. I'm like, I got kind of close to it, but it wasn't quite the same thing. And ever since then, at least with his lessons, that's when we used to actually start recording every lesson. So I just let the tape recorder go for 30 minutes. And then that way I could go back and actually catch something, because a lot of times I'm not thinking about it and it just kind of happens. And I think every artist or any musician out there kind of has experienced that kind of thing, where you're just kind of noodling around or just kind of jamming on something, and then someone comes on and it's like, "What is that?" Or like that's gold. Like that's something you need to work on. That could become a song. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and imagine you have to be the person jamming, and to have to be the person at the same time listening to that, and you have to be the person to make all the decisions as a solo artist. It's like, oh my God, no pressure here.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot. Everything falls on you when you're a solo artist.
Yeah.
And I see Carlos is saying he's enjoying listening to Dormant, and the music video is good too. And
Thank you, Carlos.
That's a good segue. So you've released 3 music videos for the new album, and so what can you specifically talk about with the Dormant music video, at least?
Yeah, you mean with a single video, the Dormant single?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all videos were shot in the same room. And we wanted to, on 3 days, and we wanted to make the videos look as different as possible, so that no one would recognize it. And then later I can explain in interviews that they were all shot in the same room. No, like we wanted to create an atmosphere with the Dormant video that was kind of not so extrovert. In a sense, more like an introvert video. That's also the reason why we chose these kind of slow motion movements, where which is kind of funny. Like when I watched the first little bits on the camera of our camera guy, I was like, wow, my mouthing feels so detached from the words in a way, and I love to create a feel of it being an internal dialogue, and not so much me talking to someone else, screaming, yelling at someone, but I wanted this internal dialogue. And someone on YouTube commented and said that my mouthing feels detached from the lyrics, and I'm like, yes, that's what it's all about, man. Like not kind of like you said, but it should feel like something that is going on the inside. So that's the reason why we chose these kind of like slow motion thingies. And then there is the scene where I'm sitting in these icicles, and actually it's played backwards. So my mouthing I learned backwards. I learned how to say wie Wasser zu Eis, which is the German version of like water to ice. I'm singing in German there. And I had to learn how to mouth that backwards, so that the raindrops would actually come from go from down to up instead from up to down, and the icicles would kind of like grow instead of melt. It was very difficult to create that, because we shot it in the middle of the hot season in summer, so I had to make 1 meter 40 long icicles in the summer, and then kind of have them melt at the right spot. It was I don't know, me and my crazy ideas. So yeah, I was sitting there for like, I don't know, better part of an hour or maybe 40 minutes when these icicles were melting, so we could play it backwards then. So yeah, that's the story, like water to ice, like creating your own comfortable cage around you to protect yourself. This is why the icicles came into play. So yeah, that's kind of the story of Dormant.
But I love hearing the behind the scenes, details that you had to go through to make that video, because obviously as fans, we just get to enjoy it. Here it is, yeah. You can watch it on your TV or what have you. And then, as the band and the video director and anybody else are like trying to figure out how are we going to make this work. And you got to learn these lyrics backwards here to make this thing. We're going to reverse it. And yeah, it's freaking hot outside, but it's supposed to be cold. So just kind of think cold.
It was really cold, believe me, it was really cold. And then on this super long track that we recorded, when I was just sitting there waiting for the icicles to melt, I was sitting there, my feet fell asleep, my arms fell asleep, like I was like freezing cold. It was cold water dripping on me and I was wet and sitting there. And then Matthias, our drummer, asked me, oh, should I put a song on for you? Just like to, keep your mind busy. And then you see me like trying to not move my lips, like, yeah, how about that song? I don't know. Can you hear this? Oh man, yeah, that was and like to learn these lyrics backwards, it wasn't like really hard, because I just recorded my mouthing forward, played it backwards, and just kind of mimicked the mouthing, and in the end it kind of turned out maybe even a little bit too good, because you cannot see that I'm mouthing backwards, which is a pity. I know. This is what you get when you shoot 3 videos in 3 days. And on the last day, you're just sitting there all by yourself. I'm like, okay, now sitting and mouthing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a lot of work, trying to get all 3 of those music videos in the can and ready to go, so that when the album comes out, you can sit there, or actually before it comes out, you can start sprinkling and teasing and getting everybody all hyped up.
Yeah.
And so did the band decide what 3 songs to do videos for, or did like the record label have any input on that?
No, we decided that. To be completely transparent here, we were kind of coming in a little late with everything. So I don't think that the record label even had a chance to listen to the music before we had already shot the videos. So we were recording the videos to premixes of the songs, so like that we didn't even have the finished product then. So we made the choices, but it turns out that the record label is super happy with our choices, and they also think that these 3 songs, like Through the Storm, We Are No One, and Dormant, kind of mark the 3 pillars that carry the album. So I'm happy that they agree. But what can they do now? Like, the videos were shot.
That's too funny. Yeah, it's just kind of like
one way of total artist control is to just be a little late with everything.
There's a great tip for all you bands out there. Oh, by the way, here you go. Here's our stuff. Oh man. I review music and obviously TV and films and opera and ballet and all this other kind of stuff. And so sometimes on the other side of the promotional piece, I get stuck where this big team comes in and says, well, wait a minute, we're trying to promote this. There's a TV show that's on right now that's really, really popular. So one of the guests I know, I've interviewed her before. And she said, Mark, I want to come on and I want to promote the show. I was like, great, I want to have you come on. So we're thinking the same way. Her manager, absolutely, Mark, I want to get her on. And then these other powers come in. They're like, wait a minute. So it's like, and so I have to just basically sit here and wait. And it's like, okay, I get it. It's a big juggernaut behind you, but I'm kind of like, this is so strange if the star wants to do it. Her manager wants me to do it. But then these other people are kind of saying, well, no, not yet. We'll kind of see if we have time for you. And I'm like, all right. And then like secretly on the table, I can see that even though this is a live stream, they've already told me, Mark, we're going to make this happen. So regardless of what these other powers say, it might just take a little bit longer. But once they're kind of done with the cycle of promotion, boom, then she's coming on. So I'm like, perfect. But yeah,
Yeah.
just that whole so I see both sides of it. Sometimes I can directly contact somebody. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't know what's happening here with something.
Yeah, I mean, but we are really happy with our label Napalm Records. Like, they have never even tried to interfere with our artistic output. I think the reason why they want to see the video a couple of days before they put it out is just like to check if like there's a quality issue or if there is a content issue, like meaning like content that no one wants to see. So just like to double check on that, but otherwise, like, we as artists are free. Sometimes they come in and they have recommendations of how to, it would be beneficial if you could do it more like this or like this, and then we are free to decide for ourselves whether or not we want to act accordingly. So no, they are really giving us complete artistic freedom here, which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that means that you're not hindered by anything as a band. You can do what we as fans hear, this is what you want to get out. And so somebody else kind of trying to influence it. Why don't you do something more commercial or less heavy or less, more clean vocals or whatever. It's like, no, this is what we wanted to put out. So if you like it, great, because it came from us.
Yeah, 100% Hiraes behind all our music and all that you see on social media. That's all our decision.
Awesome. And so take me back on the timeline. So how far back does this go in terms of you guys starting to prep and record this album, the second album?
I think, let me see. We put it out in January. We're done so I think it's fair to say that we started writing. There were a few ideas in the summer of 23, but I think the majority we started writing from August, September on. I think in September we had like 2 demo tracks ready, or 2.5, and then kind of progressed from there, because I remember, because I went on a vacation and I wrote lyrics for the first 2 songs that I had. So, no, maybe I'm lying. No, in September we had 3 songs ready and I wrote lyrics for 2. And then I think we started to record around March or April. Yeah, April maybe. So like you have to like calculate backwards. Like you want to release in December or January, so you have to send over the master tracks and all the artworks like 4 months prior to that at the latest. So to allow for pressing, releasing, all the promotional stuff, because you want your reviews and interviews in the printed magazines on the timing of your release and not a month after. So you have to kind of like go backwards there. So yeah, I think everything had to be ready in July or August.
Okay, so that's so that's a fairly reasonable timeline then. It wasn't like something where you started working on this, I don't know, 2 years ago or something like that, and then it's like a little bit closer to where we are now, not like it went that far back. Yeah, because it seems like some bands, depending on probably just circumstances and schedules and demands and all that kind of thing, that they may have had some, like half their songs written, but then they didn't get to the other half until like a year later because of maybe touring and other kind of things happen, or a band member leaves, and then they're like, well, we're not ready for this yet. So they start figuring out where we're going to go with it. So it's always interesting to see the timeline for every band when they have a new record getting recorded and coming out into the world as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It was a very short time because, like, I would like to have a little more time for doing my parts, because we're not a band who goes into a studio for recording. We record ourselves at home and edit our stuff and send the edited files into, like in this case, like to the Fascination Street Studios in Sweden. So you have to factor in writing, recording, editing, putting everything together and send it over. So that kind of takes a long time. And when you record yourself at the same time, you cannot edit. So you have to edit afterwards. So it's a lot of work in a short time. And obviously I cannot start before the drums and the guitars aren't ready. So I'm kind of like, can I get please another track, please? So yeah, so I think this time, like for the next record, we wanna just give ourselves a little more time, not in terms of like waiting time until we put out an album, but start a little earlier. So don't have so much off time between releasing and writing. And I think if I got Lucas right last weekend, I think he's already fiddling around with some riffs and playing around with a couple sounds. So yeah, hopefully we get to hear something from him as a band like later this month. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that you're all working on your parts, recording your parts individually, and then sending the stuff off. So yeah, that's got to get tricky after a while.
Yeah, it's tricky, and then especially like we don't live together in the same town, so we sending files back and forth. Everyone's putting their files in a basically some sort of Dropbox thingy, and then Matthias is our the master of chaos, and he's like guarding the tracks like his eyeball and like makes sure that everything starts at the same time and that the studio gets everything in a nice order. So thank you, Matthias, for doing that, because I wouldn't want to, like, it's probably very chaotic and messy.
Oh man. Well, and as you mentioned that, writing lyrics, what kind of inspiration or what kind of things were you pulling from that inspired you for the lyrics for this album?
That's the really, really cool thing about Lucas's writing songs. So he's sending over demo tracks with like Matthias put some rough drums over it, so I get an idea of the dynamics and the drive of the song. And then I start just phrasing to it. So I do not start with lyrics or words, because that will just make everything very complicated. I start with dynamics, phrasing, patterns, and basically created my own gibberish language with which I do that. It sounds super funny, and I should never lose my phone with silly stuff on it. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, kind of words emerge, and Lucas writes riffs that trigger something in me. So finding these first little crucial words, a first hook line, a first verse, maybe also a chorus, is always, not always, but 90% of the time in Hiraes, it's just there. So I kind of, it's playing like a movie inside my head, and all I have to do is kind of not stand in the way of the topic that comes out, that it triggers in me, and trust my artistic abilities, and let it flow. And the work comes later when you have like half a verse, but then you need 2.5 more. You can okay, like, what's the topic? Okay, and then you kind of spin around and try to, like an oyster, and you put in this grain of sand, and then you create a pearl. That's what I'm feeling like when I write lyrics. So to answer your question in a short sentence, I have this kind of seed that is planted into me by Lucas's riffs, and I go from there. And the good thing is, since we're writing in such short time spans, you really get a snapshot of my emotional landscape during that time, because it's not a concept album where I just handpick topics and put it nicely. I just pour my heart out into the lyrics. At least that's what I'm trying.
Okay, that's thanks for sharing that, because I love, especially for me being a writer. I'm not a lyric writer, but just being a writer, period. I like hearing where lyrics are coming from the vocalist. And was there any particular song on the new album that was really kind of challenged for you lyrically?
Challenge lyrically. I think Night Flight felt a little challenging at the time, just because the song is so different from all the other songs, and the topic is so specific compared to the others, that I kind of had to play around with that a little longer, and to find, just to get a grip on and to put the words into something meaty, so just to like the song Night. I'm not sure if I talked about that in October. Did I talk about that song in October? I don't want to repeat myself here, but Night Flight is a song where I speak about sleep paralysis. Sometimes I have sleep paralysis where I don't know if you know what that is. Like you feel that you're awake, but you're not awake, and everything that you dream feels so super realistic. And you can have many people who have sleep paralysis either hear things as if they were reality, or see or feel things, and I have all three of it. So I feel, I see, and I feel tactile things going on, and there's like this really dark creature, this entity next to me trying to smother me and holds me very tightly, and I can't move. And sometimes like I have this in phases, like throughout all my life, like I have that with the same creature, same scenario every time. I try to play around with that very bravely because it's so scary. Like, I know in my dream that it's not real. I have learned to know that it's not real, but it's so super scary. And so I try kind of like to face my fear, to find my calm, to wake myself either up or try to, you know, interact with this creature holding me. And this is what Night Flight is about. So when I speak about the creature and the paralyzing fear, it's me entrapped in a nightmare.
Wow, that sounds really, really. I mean, for lack of a better word, it sounds really scary. I've experienced. I only experienced sleep paralysis once that I'm aware of, and it felt like somebody was on top of me and I couldn't move. And it was just like, what the fuck is this? I really thought in my head I was trying to push somebody off of me, but there was nobody there. And I'd never experienced anything like that. It really freaked me out when it happened. And knock on wood, it hasn't happened since. But for you having dealt with this most of your life, I mean, I can't imagine having that happen all the time.
It doesn't happen all the time. Like it usually happens to me once or twice a year, I would say. So it's nothing. But it happened to me like twice in the time when I was writing the lyrics. So it kind of snuck its way. And then I did some research, and so many artists, painters, also philosophers, dancers, musicians have dealt with that topic. And it's funny that. I don't want to say they all see the same creature, but someone sitting either on your chest or holding you tightly is like an image that many people who have sleep paralysis share. So yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I read some stuff what it does in the brain, but then I got too scientific with everything, and so I threw the science away and just focused on my feelings because I thought that was a better source for my lyrics.
Okay, yeah, no, that's well, yeah, I'm glad it's not all the time.
Like, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I can flash back to when that happened because I was living in my other home at that point, and it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Of course, like most people, I've had dreams and had some nightmares, but it was nothing like that. It was something totally different. And yeah, and even for somebody like me that loves metal and horror films and stuff like that freaked the fuck out. I mean, it was like, Jesus, I almost didn't want to go to sleep the next night, hoping that doesn't happen again. And it didn't, but it's like, oh, geez. Oh.
It is really, really scary. Yeah, it's really scary. But then after a couple of years, when you learn how to, you know, when you have overcome that childhood fear of it, and then someone explains to you what it is, and then you kind of like, okay, I can wake myself up. Come on, pinky move, because like I can move my pinky in the dreams, and my pinky moves, and then I wake up.
Yeah, you learn how to cope with it since you have a coping mechanism. Gosh, but okay, well and then it gave some really interesting lyrics then.
yeah, to a very punchy, crusty song. I really like it, and we performed it like live on our mini tour that we just did, and it's it's so much fun to play that song. It has a really, really good energy, and it kind of also takes me a little bit back to my more thrashier roots that I had with Cooper when I started, and so I really feel like I can be like a really like pull out some nasty sounds.
Yeah, and I mean, for people out there that haven't had a chance to listen to Night Flight off the new album, it's that riff. I mean, as soon as that riff starts, I mean, I could easily picture that live, just like, I mean, it's got to be such a banger.
It is.
I'm glad you guys are playing it live in the set, because it seems like that would just take on like it's made for the stage, that song. I mean, it really is. And just letting everybody know, if you have any questions for Britta, please put them in the chat as we're getting close to kind of winding this interview down. I wanted to kind of ask you a couple other things that I'm kind of in the ballpark. They're not directly with Hiraes, but one is that you got this neck tattoo. You're kind of documenting the process. So what can you tell me about that? Because even if I look at the picture in the background here of the promo pic, obviously you didn't have it back then when you took those pictures, but clearly you have it now. So how many hours was that process?
It was 2 sessions, but the first session, it was almost done. So what we did in the second session was mainly just like connected to some other tattoos that I have here, some details. But I think the tattooing was like maybe 5.5 hours, I would say, in total. So like he worked pretty fast, which is cool. It was a day worth of work. He drew it onto me, so it's a custom made thing. And I found this artist online. He goes by the name of Young Hearted Tattoo. His name is Felix Seele. He's in Berlin, and he kind of has like 2 or 3 different styles. This is one of his styles, and I just fell in love with his style like a while ago. And I didn't want to have any sort of picture on my neck for 2 reasons. For one reason is that you either go with something symmetrical, and then it kind of, very often, it looks weird from the side because it kind of doesn't match this this kind of like cylindric form that your neck has. And then I wanted it to go with my body motion a little bit. And Felix is the person, like, he likes this body flow stuff that he makes. And so like he was like painting on me, erasing, painting, look over there, until probably he thought like it fits from all kind of angles. And I really like it. So for me, it looks something like between, mixing marble cake or like marble structures, something very organic. And that's what I wanted. People were wondering like what it is, which is kind of funny to me. I had never thought about that people were wondering, what is it? Is it like waves? Is it roots? I'm like, no, it's just a pattern. It's a texture. And I love it. And I might might not have made more appointments with Felix for going further down my back. I don't know. No, like seriously, it was a great tattoo experience, and I love what he's doing, and I love his work ethics. And he has this really big ass studio with like 28 artists or something like that in Berlin, and everyone's super nice. It's a very cool environment there, and I enjoyed the whole process. Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge studio, having that many tattoo artists in the same spot.
Yes, it's one of the biggest in Europe, I believe. Yeah.
Wow. I think I haven't been tatted in a while, but even in the studios I've been in, there's maybe 4 or 5 artists at total at any given time. And I love the fact that he drew it on you. Just like my elbows got drawn on me too, and my artist was taking his time. He was wiping stuff off. So wait a minute, because he was trying to get the flow right on the body part. So I know exactly what you're talking about with your neck, that depending on the way you have it turned, and especially with you being a performer, like what people see on stage, that it can't be something that they, drew on paper and then put the stencil on you. It doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I can relate to when people say there's something about, especially maybe people that don't have ink at all or don't have much ink. They always need to know, like, what is the thing that's on you? Like, it has to be an object. It has to be something that's tangible some way. It's like, no, it's a design. It's something that's an expression of art. Then, because I had the same thing with my elbows, which you can't really see too well. And they're like, so Mark, what is that? Because it's on both of them. And I still remember one of the guys I worked with, he saw me from behind with my arms down. And he said, it looks like you're turning into like a superhero or something. Like their elbows are starting to take over. Yeah. Like, Well, if that's what you think, that's great. That's not what I was going for. We're just trying to get something that would fit around my elbows. It kind of went with my other tattoos, but yeah. So I've experienced the same thing where people are like, "What is that? What is that?" And it's like, it's not anything really.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you, I mean, I understand that people want to figure it out and they are interested in that. What I look at it as like, you know, being a guitar riff, being an ad lib of a vocal, something that is that has no specific form that can be interpreted. I look at it as a snapshot of emotion, something that rings with me. Of course, I didn't know what he was drawing onto me before I went there, but I told him where I wanted it to have it and how far it should go, like into all the directions. And I knew his style. And then, you know, he's an artist and I trust him with my skin. And so that's how I approached it. And I don't know, like it's I believe that if you reach a certain degree of having tattooed skin, like in terms of square centimeters, you kind of like, yeah, you kind of ease into it more, and you say like, okay, like, yeah, let's connect these things, and then I have an idea here. You do not overthink it as much as you do probably with or I did with my first tattoo. So yeah. The more tattoos I get, the more I'm like, oh yeah, I like this artist. Yeah, I trust you. Yeah, do it. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I think you speak the truth, because I can relate to that too. I definitely relaxed myself when I started getting other tattoo pieces, because you start like, you know what, I'm an artist, you're an artist, this is why I'm here, I'm talking to you, you seem cool, I've seen your portfolio of work, we're kind of vibing off of what the idea is, so take it and run with it, and I'm just going to go with it. And that's, to me, the best work comes out that way, instead of trying to dictate to them, you know, I need this, I need that, oh no, that's too long, don't do that over. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you're trying to stifle an artist with what they're doing. Why are you there then? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we kind of had the same mentality. Again, other people that have been inked after a while, you're kind of like, no, that's just why you find the artist and then you let them do their thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel, at least. And yeah, it's not for everyone, of course, but yeah, then I mean, no one has to do it, and it's up to everyone for themselves.
And again, as we get closer to winding this down, if anybody has questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Something else I wanted to kind of mention, since I make sure I get this right in my head. It was the second live stream I ever did with you, because it was the first fun table session. I saw that you saw Vexed. You saw Megan.
Yes, I saw her in real life, and it was so cool to see her. Like, we met at the, I mean, obviously I saw the whole show, and it was so cool. Like, this girl has some energy on stage. The whole band is just like, really, really, like, I don't know. I really love that. And yeah, and we could finally exchange that long waited for hug in person, which felt so good. And I had invited her a while ago to come to my Tavern Talk series, and she couldn't do it at the time because she had to take care of her granddad. But she promised to come back, so probably going to have her in my Tavern Talk this year. So yeah, Megan, if you're seeing this, I look forward to speaking with you. she's badass, but she's the sweetest person. Like, really, literally both extremes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw some of the pictures, the selfies you posted, and I'm like, oh, she's at the gig in Germany. That's awesome. And yeah. So for like somebody like me over here in the States, it's kind of like, well, when is Vex coming over here? When is Hiraes coming over here? And I understand you're not in control of those things. It's lots of other moving parts to, especially the money part of touring America. But like, if you could, you would. Kind of, it's usually what I hear from bands. So at some point, hopefully, I get a chance to see you, both of your bands, before I'm no longer here.
My God. I hope so too. I mean, there are ideas, and first of all, like we try to get our foot into the door of like a big support tour here in Germany, and of course Europe also, to promote our record. But I mean, the farther you travel as an artist, the longer the preparation is. So we are carefully aiming at expanding our territory across oceans next year. So keep your fingers crossed. But the cool thing is that our record kind of seems to resonate with people. I know it's not a big thing in America, at least the German charts are not a big thing in America, but we entered the German album charts on place number 36, which is, I mean, this is not the metal charts, this is like the overall charts. And we looked at it and like, crazy, really crazy. And our record label probably, like to say, they freaked out. They was like, that's awesome. And so maybe we get a chance to expand our territory with this new album. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed for us.
Yeah, well, congratulations on ending the German charts. Like you said, that's the overall charts. It's not genre-specific charts. So
Yeah,
that's amazing. And yeah,
yes,
that kind of success helps people like me because that means there's a chance you can the label and other kind of entities will be like, hey, there's something around this band and this album right now. If either this one or the next one, we need to figure out how do we get them out to other places because there's a demand there. Basically, is what it is.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's awesome. And of course, people buy it, buy the album, buy the merch, buy what you can. That's another way to help support things. That's why I tried to do that. This was not given to me. I bought it. So
Thank you, by the way. I really appreciate that.
absolutely. I was looking at the European store, and then just the shipping's so expensive to get some of the other items, which I'm used to it. Everybody knows what it's like. Just like, and vice versa. If something's coming from America going over to Europe, then it's just like, yeah, I want to buy that, but the shipping's almost the same cost as what the CD was, or the sign thing, or whatever it is. And that's just the way it's been for quite a while, actually. So it's like I'll buy it whichever way I can kind of get my minimal hands on it. And I see a question came up about what's the hardest song you and the band wrote from your past album, Solitary?
The hardest song.
And that's this one, folks.
Ooh, that's a difficult question. I think for me personally, the first one that we wrote, which is Outshine, was the most difficult one because it was the first time that I was writing in such a melodic musical environment. So I took two approaches to write lyrics and to record it, actually, until I had found my Hiraes way. That was a difficult track. And then the song Strangers has some passages in it that I found challenging to sing at that point in time because it had some mid-range fry sounds that need to be held very long. And my comfort zone in fry sounds was high pitched back then, and I used false chord growls for the lows, and I came from a death metal background, so this was all my kind of thing. Now I feel very comfortable in all ranges and fry, and so that's not a big issue there anymore. But I felt like the song Strangers needed some mid-range fries, so I had to sit and train and practice.
Awesome. Well, Carlos, thank you for that question. And so as we're kind of wrapping this up, what's coming up for Hiraes? What's coming up for the band? What's kind of in the immediate future, or at least in this 6 months or so?
So at the end of the month, we embark on another smaller tour. We are supporting the Czech band Dimitri on their 5 Angry Men tour. They have also released a new record. This will take us through Germany and I think also through Switzerland. And then there are some very exciting plans that I was hoping that I would be able to talk about. Maybe I will send you an email about that tomorrow. Like there's currently some great opportunities coming Hiraes way for autumn. But I cannot spill the beans right now. I'm sorry, but yeah, we're looking at hopefully a big chance for Hiraes, which would be very cool. Other than that, we are playing a few smaller festivals. We wanna start writing, as I said. Yeah, so that's what we're focusing on, and maybe some bigger festivals will also have us invite us a last minute, but we don't know that. So yeah, that's what's coming up next for us. So end of the month, going out on tour again.
Okay, well, that's great. You're going back out, and I totally understand if there's some information that you can't quite leak out to anybody yet because it's not signed and dotted and all those other kinds of things.
Yes.
That's how it goes. And but yeah, if you want to slip me an email tomorrow about that,
I really hope so.
I'd love to be able to talk about that. And as always, down the road too, if there's an opportunity to help promote whatever's coming up, I'd love having you on as a guest. You're always so wonderful. So I'd always love to help promote the band and further your career, because selfishly it helps eventually get you over here.
Yes. And it's always such a pleasure to speak with you and to be on any kind of your formats, be it live or at the fun table or like in an interview like we did in October. I think I don't know, like it's always like a really nice chat. It doesn't feel like really an interview. I mean, it is an interview, I know, but it really feels like a nice chat. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And obviously, you know, with your tavern talks, you know, you're a host as well, so you know what that's like. And I think that's what kind of helps with these type of things. And I appreciate the kind words. And again, anytime you're on, I just thought about that too. That even though you're going to be going out on tour, one of the guests that was a part of the October Fun Table session, Soraya Telly, she's going to be in Germany. I think it's in March, so you might be crisscrossing when you're already doing tours, and she's going to be there.
She's also coming to my hometown, Hanover, and I have looked at the date, but I haven't checked it with my calendar. So hopefully, if that's the day that I'm in town, I will of course go over there and see her. She's an amazing artist.
She is, yeah. It's just like, God, there's so many artists that, including yourself, that I would love to see these bands live it's somewhere on the West Coast even, but it's like, I just have to be patient.
Yeah, I'll come over.
But I'm glad when I get to see the artists see each other, you know, obviously in your hometown or anywhere over in Europe where they get a chance to connect and experience each other's presence, you know, face to face instead of through this type of medium. And so, Carlos and Frozen 666 and anyone else that's watching, because I see there's been people watching that are listening probably when they're at work. That's noon Pacific time over here on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining in. And Britta, as always, thank you for being such a wonderful guest. And I wish you all the success with
pleasure.
Yeah, the upcoming tour and this potential news that we'll hear about at some point with Hiraes. So have a great evening over in Germany. And everybody, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.